listed of all the things I've lost, I miss my mind the most. You know, I mean.
Welcome to In Search of the Divine. I'm Ann Thompson. In the late 70s, I went to see my grandmother for the last time after not seeing her for a long time. And she was sitting in a hall and I walked right past her. I didn't recognize her. And when I came back to find her, I was so taken aback by how she had declined that I never reached out to touch her. I didn't tell her I loved her. And that has stuck with me. And it makes me really pleased that in this edition of In Search of the Divine, we're going to talk about the spiritual journey that is dementia and Alzheimer's. So stay tuned.
Since its beginnings in France in the 17th century, the Sisters of St. Joseph have responded to the needs of the time. Today, in the 21st century, the Sisters of St. Joseph of Condolet address concerns as they arise. In the St. Paul province, located in Minnesota, the Sisters of St. Joseph and Associates have a Justice Commission, which gives priority to a variety of issues. Among the vital areas facing us today are care for creation and sustainability of Earth, efforts to address human trafficking. To view the other nearly dozen life issues, we invite you to go to the Justice area of our website, www.csjstpaul.org. The Justice Commission of the Sisters of St. Joseph and Associates invite you to join us in the movement for awareness and education and bringing about solutions through legislative advocacy.
I have a BA in general arts, like from St. Kate's, and I have a master's in psychology from Adler Institute.
This was Sister Jenna, a sister of St. Joseph of Condolet, before she was diagnosed with dementia. Over the past 6 years, we interviewed Sister Jenna several times, and you may notice some changes. Her longtime companion in community, Sister Susan, describes the Jenna she has known for many years.
Someone who is very bright, funny, Irish, as opposed to my German. Someone who is very engaged in things, both in community, larger community things. Someone who enjoyed conversation, was a good thinker, fun.
Sister Jenna's professional career included teaching, school administration, counseling, and local and national leadership positions within her religious community. But things started to change when Sister Jenna approached her mid-70s.
I would say probably about 5 or so years ago. When I noticed that either she didn't remember, started not to remember some things.
Remember thinking, oh, I said that already, I shouldn't say it again. But I think I was repeating myself.
There's a disease called mild cognitive impairment that many of us will get. It's the, where did I put the keys? I see a friend I've known all my life and I can't remember their name. And so some of that is just normal aging. Mild cognitive impairment usually doesn't affect our functional abilities. We can keep going to work, we can drive a car, we can fix a meal, go to the grocery store, and we're just forgetful, so we start using lists. When a whole bunch of people with mild cognitive impairment are followed over time, about half of them will progress onto a more severe form, which then we call dementia.
It's sad, I guess. I don't weep about it, but it's a loss. But I think that I think I'm smart enough to know that you can't just bemoan this. You have to just change the things that are going to be a part of your life.
Dementia is the larger term, and it means that the patient has a global cognitive dysfunction. We usually think of dementia in terms of memory loss, but it also includes difficulty in social interactions, visual spatial orientation, language deficits, and higher functioning reasoning, or what we call executive functioning, problem solving. The main way to identify dementia is somebody that has difficulty learning new information and then acting on it. But it's more than just memory. Alzheimer's disease is a specific kind of dementia, which about 80% of people who have dementia have Alzheimer's disease. So Alzheimer's type dementia tends to progress insidiously, is the word that's often used. It creeps up on you, it slowly happens, and it's fairly steady in its declining function for the patient.
The Alzheimer's Association, a great resource if you're concerned about the disease, offers 10 warning signs on its website.
What we think happens is that these pathologic changes in the brain begin to kill neurons. The neurons become dysfunctional, and our brain functions with this very elaborate synaptic connections, and the synapses may actually shrink back so that there's less connections between a brain cell that might be living and the next one. But it's really loss of neurons in various forms of parts of the brain, and especially deep inside the brain where our recent memory gets stored.
How it makes me feel?
Yeah.
Pissed. Well, there's nothing I can do about it, and so there isn't any point in falling into ruminating about it. I think it's probably more annoying to other people than it is to me.
If it happens before age 65, it's called pre-senile dementia, and that's quite unusual. So most cases of dementia are happening after age 65. Probably 75 is where most patients begin to demonstrate functional incapacity. By the time you're 90 years old, or if you're in a group of 90-year-olds, 40% of them will probably have dementia. And that goes up slowly with time. So most people over the age of 100, more than half will have some element of dementia.
I noticed too that it seems to be more severe at night. You know, they talk about the sunset phenomenon. So often things that we talk about at night are much more difficult for her to remember. So like the next morning, she might not remember what we talked about the night before.
It's a long journey. And some can come to the point where they see, my parent or my loved one is now happy in the moment. They're well cared for. Hopefully they can come to a place where they're well cared for. And then they often see, yeah, they're alive in the moment, and that's all that matters, moment to moment to moment.
Stay tuned as Sister Jenna and her friends, family, and physicians help us understand the dementia journey.
Moving always towards profound love of God and neighbor without distinction. This is the mission.
This is the movement.
We are the community of the Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet and Consociates.
And we invite you to join us. We are women and men of various ages, backgrounds, and faith traditions.
Sisters, commonly known as CSJs, founded this movement over 360 years ago in France. Then, as now, women respond to the needs of the times through work and prayer in community.
The sisters' passion and work for justice has inspired others to join them, including consociates who formally affiliate with the CSJs and live out this mission in their own lives.
Young adults find a spiritual community here through transformative learning, intentional living, and organic communal gardening.
Find the many ways you can join this movement. Visit us online.
Together, let us build a world of peace, justice, and reconciliation.
Dealing with progressive dementia, Sister Jenna and her companion in community, Sister Susan, are learning plenty about the disease affecting Sister Jenna's brain.
It must be about 2 years ago now that it seemed to be becoming a more serious problem.
So we call it dementia of Alzheimer's type. We have not come up with any new medications for Alzheimer's type dementia in over 10 years.
There isn't anything that you can really do about it. Take the medications that they suggest. And what my doctor said was, "Now I'm going to give you this prescription." And they say that it helps. I don't know that it helps, but they say it helps. So I take it, and I don't know that it helps. I don't know if I stopped taking it if I'd be worse, but I know I'm not any better because I'm taking it.
There are basically 3 drugs that all act to try and increase this level of acetylcholine. So they're called acetylcholinesterase inhibitors. And that's a long way of saying they block the metabolism of acetylcholine. So take them by mouth, you hope they get to the brain, and they push more acetylcholine from one neuron to the next. You should be able to see a discernible improvement in function or memory if you start a medicine like that, and then you certainly can keep it going.
If I weren't a sister, I'd say, "Oh, but I think I'll say it anyway." That's what I say is, "What the hell?" You know, I'm sort of pragmatic, and so there isn't anything you can do about this. I have options, of course. I could stay in the house and never worry about it all.
Counterintuitive as it may be, isolation, while understandable, may not be the best option for the patient.
There's no way, no treatment to reverse the vast majority of dementias. So then it's a matter of how do we take care of people with dementia? How do we surround them with the sorts of attention and activities and environment that benefit them? What is, I think, far more important in treating dementias of all kinds is the environment that they're in and how we interact with them. Our own personal interaction is much more important to how the patient with dementia does.
A lot of people don't know much about dementia. There's just still a stigma out there about the disease, and a lot of people are still afraid to get help.
In Minnesota and beyond, there are a number of programs helping patients and their families.
Act on Alzheimer's is a statewide initiative helping make communities dementia-friendly. It's a volunteer-driven movement. Healthcare systems, faith communities, businesses, retirees, people with dementia, all involved in helping to make Minnesota safe, informed, and respectful for people who have dementia and their care partners.
The Act on Alzheimer's website offers a great toolkit if you or your church or organization are interested in becoming dementia-friendly. Memory cafes are another thing that may be available near you.
Memory cafes are a very informal and social group to get together for people who have dementia and for people who have a loved one with dementia to come and socialize, enjoy refreshments. We usually offer a little short presentation in the beginning, some sort of educational or fun topic. Today we're talking about balance and dementia and why it's important to exercise and have good balance when you have dementia, because your perception, your depth perception can be off, and you're at a greater fall risk when you have the disease.
After this break, we'll look at helpful ways to tweak how we are in relationship with memory loss. Stay tuned.
Hi, we're the St. Joseph Workers. We are women between the ages of 21 and 30, volunteering in a one-year service program based on the core values of spirituality, leadership, community, and social justice.
The St. Joseph Worker Program is a ministry of the Sisters of St. Joseph who strive to love God and dear neighbor without distinction.
In the program, we focus on living simply and sustainably,
working to assist those in need in communities where we live,
and learning about justice issues so we can advocate for systemic change.
If you would like to live with intention for a year and
grow your spirit
and learn more about justice issues
and polish your leadership skills,
then check us out at stjosephworkers.org.
1, 2, 3, St. Joseph Workers!
Well, you know, I can't remember what I can't remember. I mean, that's the problem. Don't be asking me memory questions.
Avoiding memory questions. This can be a challenge for someone like me who loves asking questions.
Instead of avoiding someone who has dementia, to simply smile and say hello, and just feel confident saying, "It's nice to see you today," rather than, "Oh, how are you doing?" or "Are you okay?" That can really confuse someone with dementia.
There's this theory called validation theory that's been written about in recent years that's very important for working with people with dementia, to validate, to continually validate their experience. Not to tell them, no, that's not what's happening now, or no, that happened at a different time in your past. It doesn't help, and there's no need to correct anyone at that point. It's more important just to help them feel alive and calm and loved in the moment.
If you go through and then somebody says, "So how was the party?" And I think, God, I don't know. I guess it was okay. So, because you don't, when people ask you about how something was, or if you liked something, or if you did something, I don't always, not that I don't even remember, but it isn't even a familiar.
It can be a little depressing to them too. They can feel tested if you ask them questions, especially questions related to the past or the future, but never to deny their experience, because I think that can further disorient a person with dementia. So validation, empathy, to always offer some word of, I hear you, I understand, this must be hard. Some way of affirming what they're feeling rather than what they might be trying to say.
Okay, no memory questions. But then how do you be with a person with dementia?
I suppose by living the moment you're in, and not dwelling on how it's going to be when I get someplace else, or am I going to remember this, but to do what you do, and the people that you're meeting, meet them. If you don't remember who they are exactly, either fake it or ask them.
Doesn't matter. Those things don't matter. It's so right to be just present with this person. And sometimes people get uncomfortable with that because we think, well, we need to be talking all the time. There needs to be constant activity.
I'm very grateful for television because it's sort of a mindless venture and you can spend time. But that reading is difficult. Not because I can't read, but because it doesn't retain, I don't retain it.
So a spiritual care for someone like that would be often just comforting words, calm presence, helping them connect to something in this moment. And it could be just a face-to-face smile. It could be some kind of tactile experience. Maybe they're For some, it's holding a doll that calms them. Music is another great thing, and we know that that's a deep part of our memory. Somebody who's not maybe talked for a long time can suddenly sing a hymn. Or they definitely wake up when there's music because that's triggering something deep in them.
It's changed my, my approach to being social. I don't say, oh darn, I'm being more social. But I know that that's true. But there's no point in beating your head against the wall and then wondering why you have a headache.
Maybe the journey of dementia, even Alzheimer's, is a study in the art of being.
If we can slow down, we can be where they are at and learn from it, but also just, be affirming of it.
I know that I'm not as smart-mouthed as I used to be. And that I don't do the same amount and kind of reading and inquiry and paying attention as I did in the past. And it isn't necessarily that I decided not to. It's just that I suppose I can't, or just don't. So I think it's a very incipient, slow process.
To be relaxed in the presence of someone with dementia, and whatever that looks like, to be just lounging, leaning back, to give them, through your bodily language, the sense that I'm calm, and I'm okay with you. This can be just fine, whatever it is. To come to that point can help a lot.
Prayer is a powerful thing. If you would like the Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet to pray for you or a special intention, visit the prayersplease.com website or download a free Android, iPhone, iPad, or BlackBerry app on your smartphone. Once you submit a request, it is forwarded to Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet in New York, Missouri, Minnesota, California, and Hawaii, and they are honored to pray for your intentions.
No doubt the journey with and through dementia can be challenging.
I think that for people like Susan who are living with and or caring for or having to interact regularly or depend on someone who's having memory loss, they have to be aware of it. And that if there's something the person needs to know that they aren't getting directly from the person who's having memory problems, then I think it's important that we're patient and that we ask again. And if they don't know, then they don't know. And then back off and go bother somebody else if they want the answer to these questions that this person doesn't have for you anymore.
If you look at this life as a journey of spiritual learnings, then this is a part of the experience with significant opportunity.
I think it has helped me to slow down quite a bit and to be patient with myself in my own times of confusion, in my own forgettings and losings of things, and realizing, just as I don't see a person with dementia as an oddity in nature, but that this is just part of human life and human nature. And it's something that hopefully we can accept.
I know that there's something the matter. And I don't know. It's just kind of, I'm not even sure what I don't remember.
I think we're doing a better job of taking care of the patient with dementia. That's the short-term hope I have, that we construct our houses, inform our families, provide support to caregivers, train our staff, don't overuse medications when we don't need to, design therapeutic milieu, that is the surrounding that is actually therapeutic, in a way that meets the residents' needs and provides for their dignity as a person.
Know that you're not alone as you're taking this journey on in whatever role you are. If you're the person living with the disease, the caregiver, the chaplain, there are so many resources out there.
Yeah, they're alive in the moment, and that's all that matters. Moment to moment to moment, things can be okay.
Several years ago, we spoke with Sister Jenna about her life as a sister. Before we close, I'd like to share her thoughts about her life.
My life lessons, well, is that you don't always have to be right. And if you are right and others don't agree, you don't have to always push it at people that you're right. That fidelity is very important, to have an appreciation of the strength of your friends, and to know that friendship is a gift, and to treat others the way you'd want to be treated, and that when you mess up, saying I'm sorry heals a lot of wounds, and that we're called to perfection, and we wouldn't have to be called if we were perfect already. And so the most we can do is move toward being the best that we can be.
Thanks for watching this edition of In Search of the Divine. My takeaways from this program are the importance of living in the moment, especially with people who are suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's. And also, never pass up an opportunity to tell someone you love them. Thanks for watching.
Every week, thousands of Catholic adults use Sunday by Sunday to reflect on the Gospels of the liturgical year. Sunday by Sunday is a publication of the Sisters of St. Joseph in St. Paul, Minnesota. Sunday by Sunday is ready to use, just 4 brief pages each week. It begins and ends with prayer. Its questions inspire adults to share the faith they live and to wrestle with what Jesus in the Gospels asks of us in our time, in our neighborhoods, and our world. Leading a faith-sharing group is easy and life-giving with Sunday by Sunday. For free samples, visit our website, goodgroundpress.com, or call 800-232-5533. And join our conversations online at keepingfaithtoday.com, Facebook, and Twitter.